a brief agenda, and it's also going to go kind of quick because we want to invite everyone over to the national year-end call that happens at 7 o'clock. Hopefully you all have that link, but if you don't, we'll be sure to get that
Okay.
in the chat. So we'll make sure that that's available in the chat for everyone. But we're glad that everyone took some time to be with us. We know typically we don't have our call quite so early, but again, we wanted to make sure to have our call first and then hop over to nationals. Not quite sure what all they're going to have going on, but this is a year-end celebration. So for anyone who chooses, we want to cheers all that got accomplished here in 23. You might have a cocoa or a tea, that's fine, but for a beer, cocktail, wine, cheers, and thank you for helping to launch the Pennsylvania Forward Party. We did some great things this year. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and start to show some things that we just want to highlight, remind everyone as far as what we were able to accomplish this year. So here is a short list of some of the things that we were able to do that were on our agenda to try to accomplish in 2023. So when we met a year ago, we talked about wanting to get our bylaws written, hopefully having our first in-person gathering. We were able to write those bylaws thanks to a lot of hard work from a lot of people, and especially thank you to Ben for guiding that work. And then we had our in-person summit where we were able to grow our team. Many of you, that was the first time that you got fully engaged with the work that we're doing. But we met in Gettysburg and had a full day of talking through a lot of different things. Some of it was a struggle and a healthy struggle where we came out of it with better ideas of what we wanted to look like and sound like. From that, our priorities committee was born, and hopefully over the last few weeks, you've seen as we've started to roll out our priorities, and we've gotten great feedback from people. Happy to see us summarize things that we stand for. So even though we're not dictating a platform, we're not prescribing what things are, what people need to think. We're still talking about where the conversation should be focused and how we can make things part of the everyday conversation that we need to be able to respond to. We need to be able to find answers to and truly move things forward. So we confirmed our teams and have been able to grow those teams. Our communications team, where it was a year ago versus where it is today. Brian, you want to speak to that? You have a little bit of help these days.
Yeah, we've been having weekly meetings for a few months now, and it's been great. We have different people working on a couple different social media platforms and making new things. And we have the newsletter started this year too. So we've sent out the newsletter most of the year, and that's been great.
Now there's others on the call that might say, but there's other things I'd like to see you do. Great. We want to hear those ideas. And if you have time to contribute, we want to invite you to join one of these teams. There's opportunities to contribute your talents into the things as we continue building. The candidates team, that was something that we had put as a focus even before the pivot from national, and it helped us accomplish a lot on that ground. When national made the pivot, we were identified as one of those battleground 12 states, and a lot of that's a reflection of you who have been involved from the beginning. So thank you to everyone that has stayed involved and made sure that we were engaging our communities. We've been able to develop relationships with forward leaders across other states, and that's been tremendous. To be able to learn from one another and support one another. And hopefully some of you will learn during the other call ways that if you want to get, we certainly appreciate and welcome your involvement here in PA.
Hey, Christian, can I bother you for a second? Hi, everybody.
Yes, I can't, when I'm sharing my screen, I can't mute anyone, but for anyone, if you don't mind hitting your mute button while you're watching.
And I think it might be Eric Hamill. There we go. Thank you.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So And hey, Jack, happy birthday. Great to see that you're here with us tonight.
Thank you.
We celebrate you, sir. So, Jack is one he's certainly nurtured a lot of relationships with some of these other states. And if for those who join and follow us into the national call later, we're going to hear some opportunities to support remotely those other states. We also want to identify ways that we can invite support from other people, because moving into the upcoming year, we're going to be focused even beyond a Battleground 12. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Our focus on candidates was able to yield results. A lot of people spent a lot of time looking to try to identify where there were good races to get involved and good candidates that were out there that would align well with our values. And so this isn't the complete list. If we roll over here, there's some additional accomplishments that we were able to do this past year. So, we welcomed Senator Williams and Senator Buscola in Harrisburg, and many of you were able to take the trip out to Harrisburg. We stood together on the steps and were able to listen to their words as they embraced and affiliated publicly with the Pennsylvania Forward Party. And that was just the beginning, right? So we had 3 other additional major announcements with major candidates where National came down with some of the co-chairs to stand with us in Pennsylvania and help to announce some of the people running for office. We had Seth Bluestein out in Philadelphia for the commissioner's office in Allegheny County, just in Pittsburgh area. We had both Joe Rockey for county executive and Steven Zappala for district attorney. We were able to get two out of those 3 turned into victories. So we have affiliated candidates serving in the 2 largest cities in our state. And that helps to facilitate conversations for future candidates and have conversations within our communities about what the opportunities are when we don't have just 2 parties, when there's another way of approaching the conversation, one that's not just going to try to make things angry and uncomfortable. This is really something to be excited about and celebrate. We've been able to launch a coalition of students thanks to Jazz and Gabe. And again, with my screen shared, I don't get to see if everyone's here. I know these guys are probably finishing off finals, or hopefully they have. I'm not sure if they've been able to join us here tonight. But 2 very active members that have done a lot on our communications team and on additional teams. And they're still in high school, and they're taking the charge. They're taking their civic responsibility seriously and really being a great example and inspiration for all of us. So I've been happy to get to know each of them. Hopefully others that have had the chance to work side by side could share the same, but they've led the charge with helping to organize our youth and give them an outlet so that they can get back involved in the political conversation and not just have to follow it, but create a political future that we can be excited about. We've collaborated with some of the advocacy groups in our state. And again, I give you credit all the time for this, Gus. I know you're here on this call. We spoke at the beginning when we were waiting for people. And an early conversation when I first met you, you challenged me with, what is PA Forward trying to be? Are they trying to be a political party or an advocacy group? And what an important question. We have great advocacy groups in this state that are really attacking specific legislation. And they need to reach legislators that can help get those bills passed. Our job is to help put those legislators in those seats. And what a great working relationship. Now, there's some barriers as far as how we can coordinate and how we can work together, but certainly I encourage all of you to look into the fine work that a lot of these different groups do. There's many across the state, many that we have a good working relationship with. So far, 2 of the ones that we've officially endorsed are Ballot PA and Fair Districts PA. And they're helping to fight for that voting reform that is so important to make sure that everyone's voice is represented. And last week, we at the World Affairs Council in Philadelphia, Tim Snyder, thank you for the work that you did in putting that together. Craig Snyder for helping to tee that up and allow us the opportunity. and for all of you who attended. I wish I would have had the opportunity to be there with you. Even tonight, I'm joining from Florida. I'm a little far away, couldn't drive in, but I'm usually in Pittsburgh, and I would have made that drive over. And it looked like such a great time and such a great opportunity for all of you to be together. So here we got some of the pictures that were gathered over this past year from those different events that we were talking about. You can see the hard work being done in Gettysburg. Brian, there's even a cameo from your mom. We appreciated her coming out and a chance to meet her. Andrew Yang came and visited with us many different times over the course of the year, as did Governor Christine Todd Whitman. Certainly National has done what they can to support Pennsylvania directly. And I love the picture in front of the Capitol building in Harrisburg with Gus, Hector, and Ethan. And, in the future, that's going to be, pictures of some of our elected officials. Some pictures from last week, and I just want to give a shout out to Peter Knight for helping to capture. I didn't do your pictures justice because I was just trying to capture so many of the great faces that made the trip. But thank you, Peter, for taking the time to photograph and offer your talents. These are all from the World Affairs Council Day, and just shows what a great turnout and how wonderful it was to have everyone together. Again, just the groups, there's many others. March on Harrisburg is one that we've got a good working relationship with. It does a lot of great training. The Independence of Pennsylvania is another group that we help to encourage you guys to check out and get involved with. There's many others. And if you have one that you're currently involved with that you'd like us to take a closer look at or have a closer working relationship with, we want to learn about them. We want to be an ally. That's our goal. We're not trying to, we don't believe that the resources are limited. There's a lot of good people in Pennsylvania. If we all figure out how to work together, we're all going to get bigger. We're all going to be able to win. And that's how we approach things. In 2024, we have some big goals. We're looking to recruit and run statewide candidates in order to achieve state party status. That's one of our primary goals, as well as identifying House races where we can identify good candidates and help them to run and positively influence the conversation in Pennsylvania politics. We need to continue to build our volunteer base and find ways to support candidates and build awareness. And we need to identify and develop leadership at regional level and at the county level. And so many of you on this call have the opportunity to be leaders and to step up. And we want to invite you and welcome you. There's opportunities. We have the teams in place so that we're not just starting from zero anymore. We still have a lot to learn, and there's still a lot we're not doing perfect, but we have a lot in place, and we continue to learn and we continue to develop our resources. We want to help invite you in and connect you with the right resources to make the best of this opportunity that we have to influence not just our backyard, not just our local community, the entire state of Pennsylvania, and even the country. Pennsylvania can be a leader in and I thank you for joining that conversation. We're going to have minutes to discuss everything.
Yeah, Christian. Hi, it's Nancy.
You're going to tell me that the QR code's blocked. No.
I'm so challenged in so many ways, but that's not one of them. But okay. Anyway, I wanted to interject because another thing that happened in Pennsylvania with the Forward Party is that we brought 5 or 6 people out onto the street at Rittenhouse Square and signed up about 30 people. Just saying.
I know, that's amazing. You know what? I want to take time. I wanted to get through all of that quickly so that we can pass the mic around and hear from others.
Okay.
That is not an exhaustive list, that's for sure. We have many more things that happened over this past year. And that's thanks to the hard work of many of you here on this call tonight. So Nancy, tell me a little bit more about that. I remember you going out to Rittenhouse Square and organizing some things.
Well, we set up a card
Tell everyone
table.
else what that's like.
There's other people on the call that can chime in on that, but we set up a card table with a sign, and we talked to passersby about what do you think about open primaries? What do you think about nonpartisan elections? What do you think about the state of our government right now, the state of our politics? And it's very easy to talk to people because everybody is concerned about what's going on right now. So we signed up like 30 people. I hope that
here's to you and your street team for getting out there and signing up 30 people.
There you go.
We celebrate that. Thank you. Who else has a story that they might want to share? Something that got accomplished this past year that you'd like to celebrate as part of the year-end recap? Rachel, was that a clap or a hand? I'm going to put you on the spot. I know you got a good one for us.
Oh, I was clapping for Nancy. I think one of the biggest things we accomplished is really getting our teams in order with regular meetings and projects outside of the regular calls so we could come back with actual accomplishments and work to be done in between, which was hard to do in the beginning, where we would kind of get together and talk about things. But this year we really started doing more things. A lot of them that you mentioned already. We've tried to have by region some casual meetups as well, and hopefully next year we can make them a little more purposeful, where they serve like multiple purposes. We do an in-person thing with maybe a community service event and some fundraising and a candidate or something, and we can dip in multiple buckets. That would be sort of like our next level, I think. I guess the other thing is similar is that we've started to help each other as states, because national has reconfigured a bunch of times, and I think finally the states that have had consistent leadership are at a point where we can take best practices and take a template that one state used. And obviously, if it has to do with candidates and elections, check the laws. But for other things like organizing, fundraising, communications, priorities, we can start to help each other. So I do think that we're going to accomplish a lot more in 24.
Thank you. One of the things that I glazed over rather quickly on the list of accomplishments was the fact that we elected our first forwardist, Chris Woodward. Many of you have had a chance to meet him or at least see him on some of these calls before. I have the privilege of interviewing him as part of the national call. So for those who follow us over at the 7 o'clock call hosted by National, it's going to be later in the call, but I'll get to ask him a couple questions, and you guys will get to hear Chris talk a little bit about what it was like running for office. So we celebrate that. Gus, I know you've been working on a project that's more of an announcement for 24. But we're going to tease this out and say the fact that work has started is a good accomplishment for 23. You want to give people a little sneak peek of what you're working on?
Which one?
I know that's true.
I think
true. I was specifically talking about the Pennsylvania landing page for the website.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm actually.
You may have a better one to talk about.
No. I'm always working on multiple things. I'm actually in the HTML on that now. I don't like the font. Jack got with me earlier today, and we got the payment processor done on it. The only thing left before we can go live, at least on the website, is just getting the domain established. And this way we will have our own website versus coming off of national, and it'll be linked to our bank accounts. When people want to put in their blogs, it'll be on ours. And we got a good team working on getting everything done. Got to get the SEOs taken care of for the internet searches, and then we'll have our own website ready to go, and it'll be Pennsylvania specific.
Thanks, Gus, and kudos to Gus for driving this. One of the things that we forget because it's infrastructure and it's behind the scenes when we're talking about Christian things that I think we should pat ourselves on the back for is this time last year, we had absolutely nothing. In terms of infrastructure, we were all a handful of individual humans that had shared a vision and wanted to make this thing work. And we were tied into national a little bit. We didn't even know, some of us, what third parties were. Some of our third party family weren't really dialed into what the two main parties were doing. And I mean, we had nothing. We had no email. We had no communication channels. We weren't doing meetings like this. And it's not ever good, really, to pat yourself on the back at the expense of other people. But there's 50 states that were exactly where we were a year ago. And now we're one of a tiny handful of states that are actually a legal organization, actually organized and registered with the state of Pennsylvania or their state, actually are set up to file and do all the legal stuff political parties do, actually have a bank account. And now any minute actually will have their own website with payments and stuff and an entire infrastructure. We have Slack channels where we communicate on a regular basis. We have these meetings. We have communications that go out regularly about priorities. Oh, by the way, don't want to forget that a year ago, we not only didn't have priorities, we didn't know what priorities were. And there was a whole bunch of people that didn't want to have priorities at all. I was among them. And there was a wide chasm between the people that came forward from the center left and the people that came forward from the center right. Fast forward 10 months, and it's not bipartisan, it's a forward partisan compromise view to drive something that actually everybody can sign on to. We have actual priorities. We actually stand for something. And I've met some people on the center left that could have been my siblings from another set of parents. And I'm delighted to be able to say that I was exposed to all those. And I'm just proud as the dickens of all that we've accomplished in the last 12 months, not just in the infrastructure, but in the fellowship.
Thank you, Jack. And
Yeah.
here's
What
to
else?
that. Certainly
Yeah.
appreciate those words mean a lot to everyone on the leadership team. And let's not overlook the leader when it came to legal entity and getting bank accounts set up and all that sort of thing. You weren't trying to pat yourself on the back, but we appreciate your lead and your knowledge to be able to get those things done and put us in that elite group that have all those things in place. So thank you. And for being willing to share that with some of the other states as well and help guide them. So we've really come a long way, and yet 2024, there's so much more opportunity. That Battleground 12 has been focused to six states for 2024. We're really trying from a national perspective, and you're going to hear more about this when you follow us over. There's a focus on the 6 states that can really influence and lead and inspire the rest of the nation. And Pennsylvania is one of those 6. And with that comes great responsibility. So we celebrate everything that we've accomplished, and we're excited of what we can accomplish in the coming year. And the work is upon us. So we look forward to coming back in 23 in January. And Ben, I see your hand. One last thing I need to say, I've made Brian the host because of my speaking part in the next call. I have to bail. I think I've done it in a way that won't disrupt this call. So Ben, I'm going to hand you the mic, but even as you're doing that, I got to get signed into the other call. So I'll be listening, but I'll be going back off camera. But
this is just real quick. I just wanted to highlight the work of the fundraising team, because they have also put in a lot of work, and we have some really good results with that. Like over 17,000 pledged, with over 10,000 going through Nation Builder on our Nation Builder page.
There's no doubt that Tim has set himself apart on the national landscape with leading the charge conversation around fundraising, and deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah, and actually to that point, he wears two hats, by the way. You gave me way too much credit for the entity thing. Tim's been my partner step right along on all bank account and legal filing and lawyer stuff.
And I
Well-
also wanted to suggest, if you can, please make a donation to the Pennsylvania Ford Party at our donation page. We are looking to get more people to donate monthly. This could be as little as $3 a month. So hopefully you can
Absolutely.
help us in growing
Absolutely,
our-
guys. If this inspires you, we got a big year ahead of us, and while $17,000 is great and it's one of the lead in the nation, the stuff we're trying to do next year is a lot more money than that. It's expensive stuff. So we need your time, we need your contributions. And if you're able to contribute financially, obviously, stuff's not free.
Another thing that would be great in the coming year is if we could get our regional calls and build out into the more rural parts of Pennsylvania. So, we see a list of people here. I'm not sure where everybody is necessarily. If you live outside of Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Harrisburg, and you're willing to, get a little more involved, if we could just get people to host regional calls once a month, it's very easy just to make contact with people and, give someone, get a little bit of, activity going on in the more rural areas. That would really, really help us out a lot for the things that we want to accomplish this year. Yeah, well, is there anybody else that wants to chime in before we start suggesting people kick over to the national call? I think this might be a good time to do it. I shared a link in the chat. The national call, you actually have to register to get the link emailed to you. So if you haven't registered yet, go ahead and click on that link and put in your name and email, and it'll send you the link. Yeah, if anyone has any questions about that, I'll stay on for a few more minutes. So you can jump back over here if you're having trouble getting on. But other than that, I thank you all for joining in this shortened monthly call of ours. Hope you have a happy holidays, and we'll see you in the new year.
Adios.